Good evening and welcome to the December 9th, 2025 council meeting for the Village of Holly. Clerk, please call the roll.
Weinbrenner,
Here.
Wendell, Ryan,
Here.
Koskela,
Here.
Cole, here, Tyre,
Here.
Brandon,
Here, we have a quorum. I will entertain a motion to excuse Councilman Wendell. He is sick today.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Ryan and a second by Kyer. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Ryan,
Yes.
Koskela,
Yes.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Tyre,
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes, motion carried. If you are willing and able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. This brings us to the approval of our consent agenda. All items listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Village Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately immediately after consent agenda approval in its normal sequence on the regular agenda. Lisa, could you please read the consent agenda?
A, agenda approval. B, consideration of the approval of the Village Council minutes of November 12th, 2025. C, consideration of the approval joint working session meeting minutes between Village Council and the DDA of November 17th, 2025. D, acknowledgement of receipt of Downtown Development Authority minutes of August 11th, 2025. E, acknowledgement of receipt of Downtown Development Authority minutes of September 8th, 2025. F, acknowledgement of receipt of Downtown Development Authority minutes of October 13th, 2025. G, acknowledgement of receipt of Planning Commission meeting minutes of September 24th, 2025. H, consideration of Resolution 2025-037 confirming the village president's reappointment of Timothy Turpinning to the Historic Commission with a term ending in September 2028. I, consideration of Resolution 2025-038 confirming the village president's reappointment of Jarrett Hopper to the Planning Commission with a term ending in December 2028. J, consideration of Resolution 2025-040 confirming the village president's reappointment of Gail Peltonen to the Parks Commission with a term ending in December 2028. K, acknowledgement of receipt of business registration for Gold Star Counseling. L, consideration of the approval of warrant 2025-012 in the amount of $444,770.23.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam President, I would request that we table old business item A till after the closed session, as that's a subject of one of the village attorney opinions.
The student resource, oh, nope,
Nope.
that's the presentation, sorry. Wrong section. The consideration of Council of Resolution 25 to 36, approving the Village of Holly Downtown Development Authority budget amendments to the 25-26 budget. So, would someone like to make a motion with that amendment, putting A of old business after the closed meeting, so that we can have our legal input?
So would that be F?
That would be,
It would still be old business item A, but we just move old business to after.
Just move it
new
after the
business,
closed.
essentially.
old business A, okay.
I will make the motion to accept the consent agenda with, and I lost it, with moving old item A to after closed session.
We have motion by Kyer,
I will second that.
second by Cole. Could you call the roll, please?
Ryan,
Yes.
Koskela, Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Tyre,
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes. And I would just like to point out, for transparency's sake, that I am Gold Star Counseling, but we were simply acknowledging the receipt of business registration. We were not approving anything. That's why I may not recuse myself. Okay, let's see. This brings us to the presentation. Our first presentation will be an introduction to a new school resource officer in Holly Police Department. Chief Narsh.
No? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Madam President. There he is. So the best part of any department head's job is when the right person comes along and we get that right person. That good news begs to be shared. So I'd love to have the opportunity to share with you our new officer. So please welcome our newest member of the Holly Police Department family, Officer Brendan Westenbarger. Now yes, thank you. So in partnership with Holly Area Schools, Officer Westenbarger has been assigned as a school resource officer providing security and safety to our 4 elementary schools. We were staffed for about 20 minutes back in about February, March of last year, if you remember, earlier this year actually, in 25, and then Officer Patterzak left for the west side of the state. But at that moment, we had our full staff, and then we weren't. He was actually training the other officer that had been hired. He has been assigned a school resource officer to provide that security for our elementary schools. And we're confident that Brendan will develop valuable relationships with our school children, their families, as well as school staff and community members. In addition, Brendan is assigned to the midnight shift in the patrol division when not in the schools. And so the young guys always get the midnight, so that's good. But Brendan was born, I'll tell you a little bit about him, and the cool thing as to why I can qualify my comment when I first got up here that the right person for the job. Brendan was born in the UP and was raised in Gaylord, Michigan. He graduated from Gaylord High School and received his bachelor's degree in law enforcement and associate's degree in Homeland Security. Brendan also attended and graduated from the Police Academy at Lake Superior State University. Officer Westenbarger served 6 years in the Michigan Army National Guard from 2017 to 2023. He served with the 1437th MRBC as a 12th SEER Brigade crew member. He trained on assembling bridges over any terrain, be it land or water. So if we need a bridge, no dam. That was the only problem. There's no dam construction in this unit. But he did bridges over land and water. But here's the cool part. He also, the use of explosives to destroy said bridges in the event that was important. You can't just build it. You got to know how to destroy it in case the enemy takes it away from you. He was activated and assisted in the protection of the presidential inauguration in 2021. And in addition, he was trained as a combat medic in triage and how to save lives in combat or in multi-injury incidents. Now, being an SRO, we hope he never has to practice that. And I think you know where I'm going with that. But he is trained in those roles for law enforcement as well. Brendan has worked as a police officer for a little over 6 years. He served in the city of Munising, Michigan, and the village of Oxford. We actually stole him from Oxford, but here's why. So as well as serving as a part-time school resource officer for the Metro Police Authority in Genesee County, he was also a substitute teacher and has a teacher's assistant during his time in Munising for Munising schools and served as the chair of the Oxford Addison Youth Assistance during his time in Oxford. Brendan enjoys spending time with his wife and now 2 daughters. And when did the second one come?
About 12 days ago.
Awesome. And his dogs playing Pokemon, hiking, hunting, fishing, and hanging out with his friends. He's a firm believer that if we want to prevent crime, it starts with our kids in creating personal and positive relationships with them. And his statement is, knowing that he is directly involved protecting our kids and helping them in their success means everything to me. I am also passionate about mental health and using my training in crisis intervention to help bring more positive outcomes to calls for service involving individuals in crisis or having mental health issues. And that in and of itself is the biggest welcome for Officer Westenberger. But the cool thing for me is during the interview process and during reviewing his background and the people we spoke with in his background, his entire life's passion is to be a school resource officer. And he dabbled in it at all three departments. He was a liaison to the Oxford elementary schools while he was there, but not as a school resource officer. So when this job opened up, this was a dream job for him, and it's a perfect job fit for us. So I present to you our newest school resource officer and midnight crew, Officer Westenberger.
Thank you, Chief Narsh. Our next presentation will be by Regina Kakos, who will provide an update from the Stiffs Mill Pond Dam Committee. Dam Regina.
So am I doing my update first or my presentation first? You're doing your, we're starting right here. Okay, presentation, all right. Good evening, everyone. I am Regina Kakos. I am on the Stiffs Mill Pond Committee. I am here tonight to ask for a historic study of Stiffs Mill Pond. This study is simply a responsible first step to understand what records already exist and to make sure we have clear, accurate foundations as we look toward the Mill Pond's future. So with that in mind, I'd like to begin with why a historic study is needed. Why a historic study? To identify what historical records already exist, including those not yet digitized. To determine whether any prior designations, recognitions, or submissions were made in past decades, such as the 1996 SHPO application. To compile accurate, organized documentation about the mill pond's early milling history, headwaters connection, and community significance. To create a clear, centralized record that departments, commissions, and the public can reference in the future. Many of the historical materials connected to the mill pond are still stored in physical form and haven't been reviewed in decades. This study gives us a chance to organize them into one clear record. It will also allow us to confirm whether any recognitions or designations were made in past decades and provide the village with a factual foundation for thoughtful long-term planning. What the study is and is not doing is it will be informational only, administrative and cooperative, a structured way to coordinate with HDC, parks, village staff, and volunteers, a way to responsibly gather context that could support long-term planning, environmental processes, or even future grant opportunities, a tool to organize and preserve existing and historic records. What it is not doing, it is not creating new regulations, changing any authority or responsibilities of village commissions or departments, committing the village to future actions, definitely not spending or allocating funds, making any declarations about significance before research confirms facts. This study simply organizes the information the village may need without creating obligations or changing anyone's authority. It allows everyone involved to work from the same factual record so that future decisions are informed, not assumed. Why this matters right now. The Part 307 process requires a documented community record. Historical context may help demonstrate long-standing public use, cultural value, and economic relevance. Accurate documentation can strengthen future grant applications for parks, signage, educational programming, and watershed partnerships. Research now may reduce costs later by preventing duplicated efforts across departments. This supports the committee's mission to explore every responsible avenue to help the mill pond. Researching now will ensure that future environmental or historical decisions are supported by accurate documentation. It also helps us avoid gaps or repeated work later by giving every department and commission the same reliable information. This is a proactive step that positions us well no matter which pathway the village chooses in the coming months. What we will be looking for. Any previous designations or informal recognitions from past decades, archival photos, mill records, waterworks references, SHPO materials, and village files not yet digitized, historical shoreline use, recreation patterns, and public access records, cultural and environmental context of the headwaters and connected waterways, opportunities for interpretive or educational elements that enrich the parks and community identity, and historical documentation that may support various future pathways, including Part 307. We want to make sure that no important part of the Mill Pond's history is overlooked, especially materials that were never digitized or widely shared. This also helps us understand how the pond has been used, valued, and connected to the community over time. Coordination and collaboration. Work will be done cooperatively with the Historic District Commission, the Parks Commission, village staff and administration, and qualified volunteers assisting with research. Our committee's role is to support the village by gathering and organizing information in a way that respects the responsibilities of each commission and department. We understand that our job is to assist council by preparing clear, organized groundwork for the legal lake level process, while also making sure that the research we're doing today can support the community and other future options if needed. By working cooperatively with HDC, parks, staff, and volunteers, we're helping ensure this effort reflects the whole community and stays aligned with the village's needs. What the study could support: better grant competitiveness, historical, cultural, environmental, watershed, and even parks funding, opportunities for interpretive signage and educational elements, stronger collaboration between village departments, enriched understanding of Holly's early industry and waterways, a clearer record for county, state, and federal partners, informational support for the Part 307 legal lake level. This study gives the village a stronger foundation for pursuing grants, partnerships, and interpretive or educational opportunities in the future. It also helps us highlight the Mill Pond's cultural and environmental significance in ways that benefit residents and visitors alike. No matter what direction the village ultimately decides on, this groundwork will help Holly be ready. Closing thoughts. Thank you for your time this evening. I want to begin by addressing something I had shared earlier in public updates. At the time, I had noted that I would be seeking 2 resolutions and exploring those. But after many continued conversations with the village manager and a closer look at what information we currently have, it became clear that the most responsible and transparent first step was to move forward with only one, and that was simply the authorization for a formal historic study of Stiff's Mill Pond. This approach ensures that we are basing future decisions on confirmed facts rather than assumptions or incomplete records. The historic study allows us to gather all appropriate documentation that exists or would be needed, verify whether any past recognitions or designations have already been established, and build a clear foundation before bringing forward any additional recommendations. It reflects a careful deliberate process that respects both the community and the village's decision-making responsibilities. This study also aligns with the broader regional collaboration that has been underway. As you know, our committee has been seeking resolutions of support from surrounding municipalities to demonstrate the shared recognition of the Mill Pond's importance. Holly Township Parks adopted theirs first, and Rose Township has now also passed theirs. And the Holly Township Board is currently reviewing their own revised version. This multi-jurisdictional support helps strengthen our position for Part 307. It will show unity to the courts. It enhances our eligibility for future grant opportunities that will prioritize regional cooperation. And the study is an opportunity to understand the full story of Stiff's Mill Pond, a story that could support future green space planning, interpretive signage, interactive learning, and even heritage-based projects that honor the significance of this waterway. As Oakland County Historical Commission Chair Dave Decker reminded us at the May Town Hall, mill ponds are placemakers. This study gives us that chance to further document Holly's placemaking history so the village can make the most informed decisions possible moving forward, whether for legal lake level process or even any other future options the village may want to explore. So thank you again for your time this evening, your consideration and commitment to the future of this community, and of course, its beloved Mill Pond.
And this will be new business. Item A will be your resolution for this. Regina, did you have other updates?
I do have another
for the Mill
update.
Pond? Yep.
Okay. Just a brief update for the committee tonight, nothing super huge. We do have one additional new signature that we have gained since my last update. So working on our 76 count parcel list, that would be 42 out of the 51 needed and 40 of the 44. There is an appointment standing tomorrow to obtain another signature from our chair, Don. He will be meeting with this individual to gain that signature. Someone else is verbally confirmed as well, so we're just still waiting to set that up. All of the letters have been mailed to the off-site riparian owners, both from Holly and Rose Township. A total of 12 were sent, 3 from Holly and 9 from Rose. As I had just mentioned, Rose Township did pass their resolution of support. I have turned that in to the village manager, so he has that now, so that you guys will have that for your records. Basically, I just wanted to say we're encouraged by this process, and the progress, but we're very aware of how crucial these final signatures are. I'm hoping that with these resolutions of support and continuing our movement, that will encourage people to want to sign and recognize the authenticity and how important this all is. So that's about it. Very short today.
Thank you, Ms.
I will add
Keikos.
one thing on that, Regina, and first of all, I want to thank Regina again. She's just been killing it, like, with everything she's doing for the mill pond, the dam, all of that, just continue working. The whole team has, since then she's also subsequently joined the Parks Commission. She obviously has a passion for the community and, really want to just thank her for all she's doing. Another thing is that we also talked with, we had an engineer group come out that did review the dam, gave us an initial look at it. We're gonna work with a couple others to get quotes on what would be the next step, regardless of which way we go. So we want to make sure that as we are engaged with engineers, that it meets the requirements, whether or not we move forward with lake level, if it meets those requirements, and we're working with the Water Resource Commission to make sure that it meets those initial study requirements that they would do, that we would have to pay for anyways, or if we have to pursue another route, that it would meet those. And we also have EGLE requirements as far as a wetland study. And so we're just making sure that any money that we do have to spend on this, we're doing it very carefully and that it works in whichever direction we move forward with. And again, Regina and the team there, Robert Montgomery, Don Burke, all of them, Sherilyn Everly, just really appreciate all the hard work that that whole team is working on.
Couldn't do without you. I'm sure I'll be back later for questions regarding this presentation, so.
Could I ask a couple questions right now, if you don't mind? You already answered most of them. I was going to ask who's doing the research, what tools do they need, but you answered that. So I did see that you need some cooperation from staff. What might that look like when it comes to garnering? And this might be a question for Tim as well. Because I'm picturing them pulling out old boxes. Will Regina or the research team be able to rifle through them here on site, or do you have to do it?
Nope, we can do it on site, they just can't, and we can make copies of things.
They just can't leave with the originals?
Yeah, we just can't leave with the originals.
That's great.
And we've kind of already talked about what that would look like. We've done versions of this in the past, but not with a specific study in mind to do this. And there's probably other records too, because I have a big box that just says, mill pond that we've kind of gone through. But we have, we have books from the 1800s that have minutes and things that aren't necessarily dedicated to the mill pond, but there's probably data within that, we could read through and find out more. So.
From the 1800s, thou will be able to go through it, though. Not,
If you can read cursive.
yeah.
Hey, I can do that.
Well, and that speaks to, they're not asking for any monetary support from us, because staff hours would qualify as that, but this isn't asking for that, so that's great to know. And then, is the dam committee all in favor of this study?
Yes, they voted for me to come and make this presentation tonight, and I will be giving them an update as to what y'all have to say tomorrow at our Mill Pond meeting.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Anything else for now? I'll be around.
Okay, let's see. Thank you, Regina. This brings us to public comment. Members of the audience may address council on any item not on the agenda. Those addressing council will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. After each agenda item, there will be an additional 2-minute public comment period to speak to that item before council votes. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, but will not have a response at this time. Prior to addressing council, members of the public shall state their name and address for the record. Any public comment? Hearing none, seeing none. Let's see. Old business has been moved to the end, so new business. So this was the item of tonight's presentation. Do I have a first to consider? Item A of new business.
I will make the motion to consider item A of new business.
We have a motion by Kyer and a second by Weinbrenner. Discussion.
Yes,
Go ahead.
thank you, Madam President. I remember Mr. Price mentioning before that the scope was expanding out. Is that gonna be a problem? Do you think they're doing too much, or is it?
I think, so this is really staying within, so initially, we wanted them to make recommendations to council. And so this is, the recommendation was legal lake level, and this one is obviously expanding out, but it assists in that legal lake level process. So I think it is right along with the scope of which we initially, I mean, obviously, it's going another level. That's why they're asking permission to expand that scope tonight.
Any further discussion? Regina, will you please read the resolution?
Resolution 2025-039, authorizing a historic study of Stiff's Mill Pond. Whereas Stiff's Mill Pond is located in the boundaries of the Village of Holly and is historically associated with the village's early milling industry, the development of downtown Holly, and the cultural landscapes surrounding the Shiawassee River headwaters, and whereas the Village of Holly maintains a historic district pursuant to the authority granted under Michigan Public Act 169 of 1970, MCL 99.201 ETSEQ, which provides a framework for the study, documentation, and understanding of historic resources within the community, and whereas a historic study may include research, mapping, analysis of archival materials, evaluation of historic resources and landscapes, and the compilation of cultural, environmental, and industrial history relevant to Stiff's Mill Pond and the surrounding area. And whereas the village has previously researched the significance of Stiff's Mill Pond, submitting their findings to the State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, in 1996, as well as maintains additional historical records which may support a more complete and accurate record of the Mill Pond's historical significance, and whereas volunteers from the community have expressed willingness to assist with research, data organization, and communication with relevant agencies in cooperation with village representatives, and whereas the Village Council desires to enable organized coordination between various village commissions, departments, volunteers, and SHPO in the study and documentation of the pond's historical and cultural values, and whereas this study shall be informational, shall not create or impose new regulations, and shall not alter the authority, responsibilities, or operations of any village commission or department, and whereas the village recognizes that such documentation may support long-term planning, interpretive and educational opportunities, grant application, and coordination with county and state partners, and may also help inform administrative records relevant to future legal or environmental processes. Now therefore it be resolved that the Village of Holly Council hereby authorizes the Mill Pond Committee to conduct a historic study of Stiff's Mill Pond and its associated cultural landscape, and be it further resolved that the committee is authorized to coordinate with the Historic District Commission, the Parks Commission, the village staff and administration, and qualified volunteers assisting with research. Be it further resolved that this authorization is administrative and informational only, and shall not be construed as establishing a new historic district, expand the existing district, impose additional review or regulatory requirements, or authorize any expenditures, and be it finally resolved that the results of this study shall be compiled into a report and submitted to the Village Council for informational purposes upon completion, and the village clerk shall ensure this resolution and the final report are preserved in the public record.
Thank you. Any public comment on this item? Hearing none, seeing none. Council, any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Weinbrenner?
Yes.
Haskala?
Yes.
Kyer?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Brandon?
Yes, motion carried. Lisa, will you please read item B?
Consideration by Village Council of approval of the professional services contract between the Village of Holly and Daniel Rasberg to serve as the Director of the Department of Public Works.
Do I have a first to consider item B of new business?
I would like to make the motion to consider item B of new business.
Second.
We have a motion by Cole, and I'm sorry, who got the
I
second?
did.
Okay. And we have a second by Koskela. Okay, Tim, will you please introduce this item?
It would be my pleasure to. As everyone knows, our director for the last 15 years, Director Clausen, is retiring. His last day at work will be the 18th of this month. We did a retirement ceremony, which I saw many of you at last week. Having said that, we're sad to see him go, but we're excited about Danny. So I'd like to formally recommend the promotion of Danny Rasberg, to the position of Utilities Director for the Village of Holly. So after careful evaluation and discussions with Brian and other department heads about our departmental needs and demonstrated capabilities of our internal staff, I'm confident that Danny is the ideal candidate to assume this leadership role. When Danny first approached me months ago, letting me know that he was interested in replacing Director Clausen as the Utilities Director, my advice to him was simple, that he just needs to become indispensable to me, and leave me no other option. And Danny's done exactly that. Throughout his tenure with the village, Danny has consistently demonstrated professionalism, technical expertise, and a deep commitment to the reliable operation of our Public Works Department. His knowledge of our Public Works Department, water and wastewater systems, combined with his hands-on experience in day-to-day operations, provide him with an exceptional foundation for stepping into this director-level position. Beyond technical skill, Danny has shown strong leadership qualities that have earned the respects of residents, other department heads, and myself. I will say that as I've talked to residents and they've asked me about this, everyone has been very excited. At the DDA meeting, we talked about it yesterday, and they were all very excited to work with Danny. He's got the respect of the community. His approach provides thoughtful analysis. He communicates effectively with staff and residents and maintains a calm, solutions-focused demeanor in high-pressure situations. These traits are essential for guiding the department through both routine operations and evolving regulatory or infrastructure demands. Promoting a dedicated internal candidate not only recognizes their outstanding performance, but also ensures continuity within the department that is critical to the village's operations, especially in a period of turnover of institutional knowledge, which we've had. Danny possesses institutional knowledge that would take years to develop in an external hire, and he has repeatedly demonstrated his readiness to take on expanded responsibility. His work ethic, accountability, and integrity are beyond reproach, and they align with the expectation of this leadership role and with the standards that I expect from all of my department heads. For these reasons, I am recommending Danny as the Utilities Director, and I believe that doing so will strengthen our organization, support departmental stability, and serve the best interests of our residents.
Any public comment on this item?
Regina Keikos, 711 South Broad Street. I just want to say that my first interaction with Danny was when we attended Eagles Dam Owners and Operators Workshop, and I was new to interacting, I guess, with village officials at that moment. And Danny surprised me. He had a lot to say. He knew about a lot of things. I could not believe how many things he was involved in the village, from planting garden beds to knowing how the dam worked to explaining things in layman's terms and handling my incessant level of questioning in those early days. And I think he's a fantastic individual, and I think he's going to do great things here. That's it.
Thank you, Regina. Any further public comment? Hearing none, seeing none. Council, any discussion?
Danny, I appreciate that Holly is your home and that all of your actions, I think, reflect that this is your home and that you jump all in. So I appreciate the things you've done for this village.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Danny, I've heard a lot about you over the years and stuff, and everything is excellent.
Anyone? Go
This
ahead.
one's just for Tim, because you sent me an email about the, the D2 certification.
Yes.
Are we still good on getting that?
So yeah, so Danny passed his S2 certification. And so, the certifications that are essentially leaving with Brian when he leaves is Brian holds our S2 and our D2 certifications, which is, remind me, because, Todd.
S is water distribution and D is partial treatment.
Partial treatment, okay. And so Josh, from our water plant, he has a D3. He is going to be testing in May to get his D2, as Danny's also going to be testing to start going through the process. There's some things that we have to still determine that we're working with Eagle on, as far as can he go straight to the D2 testing, or does he have to do, because there's some requirements of D3, how long he has to sit in that position. So we're asking for specific requirements in that to determine the way forward. We have been working with them about, all right, what does it look like for, there is like a grace period within there that we'll have, but also if we need to have someone hold the license for us, Brian's offered to stay on in a part-time role. We have to learn what that is that him coming in 1 hour a week to do an inspection? As I've already mentioned to them, this is for the water plant. It's not like he's in the water plant every day, right? And so we're having discussions with Eagle to determine what the exact requirements are, and then we also have another individual as well that is offered to also fill that role if we need to have someone hold the D2 license until May. But we're working through all that process. But like I said, Danny passed his S2. He's gotten that, and he's going to continue working towards it, as well as we're going to give both him and we're providing him and Josh tutors through Eagle in order to, set them up for success when they go for their testing in May, which is the next testing cycle. Did I get all of that correct? Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think it speaks pretty highly that we have someone that wants to stay here and that we're able to find someone to promote within. So I think that's a positive. I did ask Manager Price if I could speak to Danny ahead of time. He was like, yeah, absolutely, call him. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to call him now. So, so Manager Price has kind of not protected his employees, but he's like, well, don't bother them too much on their off time or anything like that. So I'm like, if he doesn't care, then okay, then I'm not. But I think there is some, in the actual contract, there is some protection for the village too. So it's Danny's job to lose. So he's going to hopefully get it here. And we're going to have many years of successful work, partnership. I don't know. But.
Well, Tim, you just passed the Coscola litmus test. Good for you. Council, if that's all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Cascola.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Weinbrenner.
Yes.
Brandon.
Without reservation, yes. Welcome aboard.
Danny, would you like, you can have a moment if you want to say anything. You can go ahead.
We should have made him talk.
Off the roads.
Well, I don't have anything prepared, so that's positive. No, I just want to say thank you, and I am fully committed to the village after you all depart, and I'm very excited to fill this role. As Tim said, I am going to pursue further education to fulfill my role, and I'm excited just to see where I can take the village. So thank you again.
They aren't going anywhere, but just.
I was like, dang. Pull that one back. We got it to work. Time is ticking down.
Check the brakes when you leave, Amber.
Let's see. You like what you saw?
All right.
All right, clerk, will you please read item C?
Consideration by Village Council of approval of the adjusted scope of work by Allied Building Services for additional work associated to the Union Depot move in the not-to-exceed amount of $35,150.
Do I have a first to consider item C of new business?
I will make the motion to consider item C of new business.
I will second that.
We have a motion by Kyer, we have a second by Cole. Tim, will you please introduce this item?
Absolutely. So, as many of you saw, we had some movement on a depot today. So that depot moved about 500 feet further than it's been in, over 100 years. So it's kind of cool. Look, I've actually, on the next slide, when we get to my report, I've got some photos from today that I'll add, but you have to wait to see that. So as part of that, we knew that there was going to be just some continued expenses. Right now, the actual depot is right above the foundation. And part of that is, with the colder weather, we knew that there was going to be some additional, as well as we know that, although we did all the engineering to make sure it was as close as possible, once we actually get this non-perfect shape over our foundation, we're going to have to do more foundation work on it in order to make it sit properly and move forward. So this is part of that, and I believe there might be, after this, for a future agenda item, there might be another $5,000 to $10,000 of additional masonry cost that are associated with the foundation work that is needed in order to match the actual depot to the foundation. So, but this is all coming out of the depot fund, so not general fund money.
Madam President.
Yes.
So along those lines, they have enough within their fundraising efforts to cover this?
They're getting very close, and we're having to watch it, so, the fundraising efforts are to do phases, I can't remember which order it goes, if it's 1 or 2, so it's to get it to the move, right? And so they're getting very close, and so, but I believe they're covered to this point, but any additional expenditures, we need to really watch them on, so, yeah.
Okay, any public comment on this item? Hearing none? Seeing none? You guys are quiet tonight. I'm not complaining. Council, any discussion? Oh, we didn't make the motion yet?
No, he was just describing the items, though.
No, we
I
had
made
a motion by Kyer,
to
second by Cole.
consider item C.
You almost had me there, it's okay. Council, any discussion?
Just because Councilman Wendell's not here, the address is incorrect on here.
So we're missing a half on here.
And we have May Pie.
We miss you, Daniel.
Yeah,
Kind of unprofessional person.
the location of the depot is incorrect too. So, it's approximate now.
If there's no further discussion,
Just quick question, do we know the timeline of when it's going to physically, be there?
So yeah, so it's right above it right now. Actually, I'll just go.
I did it for Jim, so
Yeah,
that
so here's kind of a photo where it's sitting right now. I went out and took this photo right beforehand. So I was waiting to talk about this stuff. So it's sitting right above. So tomorrow, so they created like a land bridge today. They have it on top. They wanted to lower it tonight because they didn't want the hydraulics to be engaged overnight just in case there was any kind of failures. So they're lowering it down. They're going to set it on the foundation tomorrow. They have to do all the masonry work, and then it takes approximately a month for all the masonry work to settle. Is that correct? Yeah. All right. So, yeah, because of the colder weather. And so again, it's in place. It's going to be lowered completely, done tomorrow, and all of the additional masonry work will be.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We're getting a request to speak directly into the microphones, please.
Oh, absolutely. So that is going to take us on to our next phase. And so that is we're going to talk about that in January, about what do we do next. Now that we've moved it, we don't want to wait another 30 years. It took us 30 years to move it. We want to wait another 30 years. And so part of those recommendations will be, just to give you a preview of next month, it'll be, all right, the depot committee has the depot relocation committee has done its job, all right? We can dissolve that committee, create a new one. Members can be the same if we want, but with a new focus and a new goal. And I think that one of those things that we should do is we have community studies from 20 years ago that tell us what the community at that time wanted to do. And I think there's new tools out there now as far as within RFPs. I've done similar ones before that I can use as examples. Do an RFP out there that opens it up to community groups that have an interest in use of this, that we can kind of further define what the community wants to use this space as and how we could effectively do fundraising. So that might not just be all on the village to guide this. If we pick a RFP that, if the DDA really wants to use it, or the Chamber of Commerce, or a Visitors Bureau, or these other things, we can kind of more define that use that will allow us to go into the phases 3 and 4 with a little bit more focus, and it might take some of the financial burden away from the village or the community as such for fundraising. So we'll talk more about that next month. So.
Okay. Council. Clerk, please call the roll.
Kyer,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Cascola,
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, so that was item C. Item D is closed session, and then we'll do old business A after we come back into the public. So, reports. Am I missing anything? We juggled
Nope,
everything
we'll-
around.
We can do reports and we'll come back and do, we still have old business, which we're gonna have to do after closed session. But if people wanted to leave.
Yeah, we'll do our reports now in case some people want to leave. All right, staff?
All right, so, I already showed off my great pictures, but.
I hope that the public can click on the village website so that they can zoom in on Brian's picture there, because it is fantastic.
Yeah, no, let me switch over to the
Brian
camera
looks
for everyone
really
else so they
sad
can see this. All right.
He's just devastated.
So on December 4th, we held a retirement get-together for Director Clausen, for Brian now, acknowledging his time with the village, again, 15 years. During this event, he was awarded the key to the village in appreciation for his dedication and commitment to the community. His last day, as I already mentioned, will be December 18th. We are going to miss him for his expertise, his institutional knowledge, his subpar sense of humor. All of those things are going to be sorely missed within our department head meetings and within the community. But he'll still be in the area. He still has offered to
cook the hot dogs
talk.
on holidays.
Yeah, he said, Julia said that he's volunteer for life on that, so. As you know, the depot, we already kind of talked about that. The depot actually moved today, so today was the day. We had, there's going to be a lot of pictures out there. I think that, I don't know, Kurt, did you have many heart attacks as people saw it actually moving down the road? No? No issues? I didn't know if you got any Game of Sports, because I think a lot of people were surprised. Something 30 years in the making. I think a lot of people lost some bets today. But yeah, congratulations. I want to say this is, majority of this is Pete Stouffer. He came in as the foreman of this project, and he, ran it through, made sure that it happened. And if it weren't for him, we would still be, where we were 10 months ago. So I just really appreciate all of the work that him and the entire depot move committee has done. As many of you know, that we had a hazmat issue that was reported on social media that the fire and the police provided. So it was the weekend of November 15th, 2025. The village staff from police, fire, DPW were dispatched to the area of Partridge Court, retention and detention pond, to respond to potential substance contamination. Staff worked with Eagle and Oakland County Water Resource Commission to quickly identify the source of the contamination from a local business. That business has, the business that had released the substance was identified and has been cooperative with the cleanup efforts. To date, 3 frac tanks have been utilized to store the foreign substances removed from the detention pond, stormwater collection system, and the site of the discharge. Village staff has been working with Eagle and Oakland County Water Resource Commission to ensure that the company responsible for the discharge is complying with all the cleanup requirements. The village has collected samples from the stormwater system, is awaiting the results. Eagle will be conducting soil samples at the detention pond. Once the results of the testing for the stormwater and soil samples come back, cleanup efforts will continue. The village will ensure that all cleanup efforts conducted by the responsible parties will ensure compliance with the village and Eagle standards. The DDA position, after our joint session, and we decided to go with a just DDA position. That position has been posted. They've gotten some applications, and they're going to start the interview process in the near future. They talked about that a little bit at their last meeting, so hopefully we have someone fill that role soon and be able to assist the DDA on that. Municipal analytics. So staff, meaning mostly Lisa, has provided them all their initial requested material to municipal analytics in order to begin the process of them developing our strategic financial planning model. So they've given us a checklist of things. We've provided that between Lisa, myself, and the assessor, and we're now waiting on them to start their part of it and to provide us any follow-ons. The clerk treasurer and the finance department continue to work with Plant Moran in order to finalize the audit from the previous year. The Dickens Festival. Dickens Festival began with a lighted parade. I had the honors of giving the key to the village to Santa Claus during his visit to town. I asked him why he needed the key, because he usually uses chimneys, and he said, it just makes it easier on him. So the festivities will continue throughout the following weekends, and I encourage any residents and visitors to go to hollydickensfestival.org for the calendar of events. It's been a fun time. The town halls and the coffee with the manager. In November, the village president and I conducted a town hall at Mission Point to engage with the residents there that couldn't necessarily come to us. And we will continue to schedule our town halls to best engage the community members that can't always come to us or that are not able to engage with us digitally. Similarly, I continue to host coffee with the manager from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Mondays before council. And the last thing I have in here is that I will have a couple committee requests that I would like to request that council can schedule some committees. The first one actually came from Lisa and myself for the personnel committee. Staff has found it necessary to update our personnel manual, and as such, we would welcome council input through the personnel committee. We would like to request the committee to schedule a time to meet and discuss this item, as well as beginning the creation of the commissioner's handbook that we've talked about using for all of our different commissions as well, like how when we're bringing new people on to whether it is council or the commission, what information do they need to be successful in their roles. So both our personnel staff, but also our commissions. And then I also would like to see about the Environment Committee meeting. I don't think they've met since I've been here. I recently went to a sustainability roundtable in Oakland County. I have previously, in a previous community, I worked doing the MI Green Communities Challenge, which is just a sustainability challenge for communities. It's another one of those badges like Tree City USA that we can get on. But it's also just encourage us to do sustainable practices and these things. And it has standards that Michigan has that we can utilize in that. And I would like to request the Environment Committee to meet to discuss this. It's not something that we need to necessarily take on as the committee, but it was see if it's something we want to pursue and potentially look at, having Regina spearhead for us going forward. So, and that is all the updates I have on my end. Oh, no, I have one more.
Oh.
Sorry. Chief Narsh had just given me a downtown parking update as well. Officers have been out enforcing the winter snow ordinance previous to most recent storms. In addition, the DPW has installed the new overnight signage and tow-away restrictions in both public parking lots downtown. The new signage is up at Crapo Park, designating the spaces as overnight parking. The police department will be placing yellow tape on the new signs. I have to correct his grammar in here. Hold on. On the new signs to bring added awareness, sending notices to landlords and posting on social media. They will begin with warnings this week, followed up with enforcement. So, pending any questions, that's all I have.
Did any other staff member want to give a report?
I do.
I'll just mention, I have 3 attorney-client privileged letters that we're going to go into closed session to talk about, which is my report, but I mention it only because I know Tim has a scheduling matter, and I imagine these are fairly meaty. It may take some time, just to make everybody kind of aware of it. Not my intent to keep anybody here any longer than necessary, but there's a
You are
lot
billed
there.
hourly, so.
There's a lot there. That's all.
Yeah, so I just wanted to piggyback off of what Tim said. We're getting way to the end now of the audit finally after 4 months. And one of the things that I would like to request is if the finance committee could, if we could have a post-audit meeting, so to kind of go over the things that went well and the things that maybe didn't go well with the audit. Additionally, I just wanted to let everyone know that, especially the public too, that we're going to be closing on December 18th at noon because we're going to have a staff Christmas party. And then also I want to remind everybody, not that this is a good time during this kind of year, but I just wanted to remind everybody that taxes were due on September 30th. And right now there's a 1% penalty being assessed on the taxes, but you can pay those through February to the village. Otherwise, after that, they go to the county. So I just wanted to remind people of that. And then I just wanted to wish everybody happy holidays, since this will be our last meeting before the January meeting.
Thank you. Any other staff members? Okay. Oh, how about Shannon?
So, as far as Haya goes, they are meeting this Thursday. They did have, they meet at the library, and were not able to meet at the last, their scheduled meeting. So it's rescheduled for this Thursday at 3 o'clock. They are sorting toys this weekend and packing them and getting ready to give them to families this Sunday. So toy distributions are going out. They still have, money that they've been giving as far as skill buildings. It's a great thing. They are funding people getting driver's license and different stuff for the area kids in our, the whole school district area, so that's good.
Thank you. Amber?
Yes, Parks does not meet in November or December, so we had no meeting this month. I did want to ask, there's the crossing light at Holly L, right there on the corner of Maple and Coggeshall. On one side, it didn't work. The crossing guard thought maybe the road commission does that.
No, in fact, I don't know, one of you two want to cover that?
Yeah, due to the sudden change in temperature, Danny has reached out to the vendor or the manufacturer, and we're gonna check batteries, and then we're also gonna reprogram because of the proximity. The new one that was installed for the middle school, when you hit them, they both work simultaneously.
That's what I asked you somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
so we have to change the bandwidth or the frequency so that they operate independently.
Okay. And then, to hit on Dickens Festival, I went to Dickens Festival this weekend. We have the best Santa Claus for Dickens Festival, so if anybody's got any little ones, bring them down to Santa's tent. It's really cool. You can write letters to Santa, and they will write you a letter back. They had Highland cows down there this weekend, which was really cool. And that's about it. I just want to let them know that I'm proud of people. It takes a lot of volunteers to run those sort of things, so I'm appreciative of the people that are working on that.
Thank you. Jim? No,
Thank you.
I'm jumping all around.
Wow,
Whatever.
I think it was last month, the planning commission met, and we've gone over some zoning maps and updated the zoning maps, so everything's correct. I think I talked to Tim, the last meeting regarding municipal analytics. I'm hopeful that something can be done for the water rates, because I think that really, we were right in the middle of it with Plant Moran, and hopefully that something can come, because it's the way I think it can plan out and play out rather. Our residents are gonna see some differences, some good differences in their bills for the most part. I think that's it.
Thank you. Buster?
No, don't have anything tonight.
Okay.
I
Thomas?
don't have anything either.
Okay, well, I've got a few things. Let's see, Tim covered DDA, so I don't need to. Okay. This is to staff, council, and appointees, without singling any individuals out. I have seen several instances of the clerk treasurer being treated like a secretary, personal assistant, and a gopher. I don't want to see it again. Next, on a sad note, I'd like to take a moment to remember Cindy Falzer, a beloved member of our community and a friend to so many. Her kindness and spirit will be long remembered here in Holly and beyond. Deepest condolences to all who loved her, and if we can take just a moment of silence. Thank you for that. Next, the Holly Township Library redesign is complete and their grand reopening is Monday. Check it out. It's been a long time in coming and they've done a fantastic job. And finally, Brian, thank you again for all of your years of service. It was a bumpy ride a few times and I'm truly sorry to see you go after all you've done for this village, and I hope you enjoy the hell out of your retirement. Thank you. Danny, you've got some big shoes to fill, but of that I have no doubt you'll do a great job. Okay, do we need a motion to go into closed session? I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Kyer first, Cole support. Roll call, please.
Kyer,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Haskala.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, motion carried. We'll take a, we'll take a small break for council before we head in there, and then we will come back and resume our open session if anyone stays or wants to come back.